commit to the play and don't feel like you're the worst one in the class.
It's really cool to kind of see them think outside of the box.
Sometimes those criticisms aren't necessarily right.
It's a great idea, but it has to be educational.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Room. I'm your host, Wesley Schofield, and today we're sitting here with Skylar Wert, one of our very own. But today we're going to be talking about creative exploration and not sticking to one field, finding what you like, and delving into a bunch of other stuff. So go ahead and say hello.
Hi.
So I've known Skylar for a while, and I've noticed something in her that I have not noticed in a lot of other people, or just it's been more apparent because I've been around her more. You seem to like something, whether it's drawing or acting or music or whatever, and you go super hard in it, and you get really good at it, you explore it, you get deep, and then you're still kind of moving around. But kind of walk me through, like, what was the first thing you got really, really into?
I don't know what the first thing I got really into would be, because, like, I don't know. Because, like, ever since I was little, I've always been into, like, I was always the person who wanted to do charades, you know? Like, I was always into acting and singing and drawing and writing. Like, I was always into all that. But I just, like, go through different, like, spurts of doing the different things I like, I guess. But, like, it can be, like, I like that you like it. It can be bad, though. Because I have, like, 5, like, plots for a book. And, like, some of them have a few chapters. But, like, I don't finish them.
Yeah, you just make a little bit of progress and stop.
Yeah, it's because I get so excited on one idea. And then my brain's just like, oh, but I could do this, too. And then I just, like, get carried away.
Because I noticed, yeah, like, especially when you were getting really, really into just drawing and illustration, like, you were drawing nonstop. You've made, like, you've showed me a bunch of your sketchbooks. They were pretty packed with stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was writing, and then now it's music. But, like, acting, I've noticed, has carried through for a long time. So about how long have you been taking, like, theater seriously?
Seriously? Well, I don't know, because, like, I always did the summer programs, like, where we do plays and stuff, and I was upset with my first one, because for the first play that we did, I got a tree. I was a tree in a munchkin, and I had almost no lines, and I wanted to be the Cowardly Lion, and I was, like, so upset, but I stayed with it, hoping that I would get, like, a bigger part. And then I was supposed to get, like, the evil stepmother from Cinderella. But I ended up switching the roles with the girl who was doing Cinderella. And so then I became Cinderella. So that was cool. So, I mean, I guess I've always taken it seriously. But now I'm more of thinking, like, I don't want to stop doing this when high school stops.
I get you. Okay. And walk me through also, like, your illustration stuff. Like, you started getting into that maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, pretty heavy. Why? What was what got you into it? What attracted you to it?
Well, I watch a lot of different people on YouTube. Like, I watch people who make clothes and, I mean, like, vintage clothing and, like, art and booktube and singing, and, like, I watch a bunch of different stuff, and I was, like, really getting into, like, these art YouTubers, and I was just like, oh, I want to be able to draw like they do. Like, it looks so cute, and, like, it flows so nice. Like, have you seen, I mean, of course you've seen it, but, like, with, like, Disney, their characters are always, like, so fluid, and I wanted to be able to make my characters like that, because, like, that's another thing, characters. I'm, like, very character-driven. Like, I play all the role-playing games, and my books, I mainly focus on my characters instead of the plot. And so, like, I'm very focused on characters, and so I liked that I could make characters through drawing, and I could draw the characters from my books. And I wanted to make, like, either, like, a manga or, like, a graphic novel of some sort. Like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I get carried away with stuff.
Let's just talk about it then. Like, why? Like, what do you think about it is so nice? Whether it's writing or drawing or even acting, like you you do take on these character mentalities, and I just want to know about that. Like, explore that with me a little bit.
What do you mean?
Well, like, I like creating in different medias because each one offers a different, unique aspect. Like, video, I can make things look really cool and I can mess with perspective, but drawing, I really like I like the organicness of it. But then digital art, I really like the refined, chiseled perfection of it. I like the cleanness.
Yeah.
So, but for me, it's not really, all of your stuff centers around characters.
Yeah.
All my stuff is just like what looks neat.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, like, why are you so interested in these characters?
Okay, well, I'm really interested in psychology too. Like, I'm just interested in a bunch of different stuff, but like, I'm really into psychology, and I actually have to minor in that if I want to major in acting, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but so, have you ever taken yeah, you have. I made you take it, the Briggs-Meyer test.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, that's so cool, and I get in the mindset of all my characters, and I take it for them, I guess. And I guess it's just because, like, all these different medias, with the way that you do it, you can put on a different persona or, like, personality, I guess. Like, with acting, you're playing different roles, so you're different people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. Like, I like that I can be, like, the evil stepmother one day and then Cinderella the next. And then with drawing and stuff, I mean, you can, like, make so many different kinds of characters, make them so unique. Like, okay, with not acting, drawing, no, with writing. Like, one of my favorite things to do is to look at a character and be like, oh, okay, he's really, like, brave, but maybe he's too brave and that makes him reckless. And so, like, you kind of, it's fun to think of the different ways a person could be flawed or how their looks can contrast.
That's something I struggle with when I'm writing characters for, like if I'm playing Skyrim, or even like my own OC in my head. Like, he's an elf. I know that. Like, he's part of every little narrative I tell myself in my head, but, like, I can see him clearly. But the thing about his traits is, like, I want him to be a jack of all trades because that's how I view myself. I like to be multidisciplined. I like to be really good at stuff. But that's also a double-edged sword, because if you're trying to be a master of all, you're not a master of anything. And so, kind of, like, sometimes I have to remind myself, like, look, if I'm going to take videos seriously, I need to dedicate the next 6 months to making videos as best as I can, learning about that stuff. Don't worry about drawing. Don't worry about the illustration, because right now, like, the skill set I'm trying to increase is video. But then, just like you, I get inspired about something else, and I'm like, but I want to draw right now.
Right.
Oh, but I have this idea for a graphic. Oh, but now, and, like, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
And so that's really hard to make sustainable and worthwhile progress in one thing, because we're trying to do a million things.
Yeah.
So, like, I think we can relate on that a lot. But I think listening to you talk, you're very just interested in people. But I like how in-depth you get with your character creation. The fact that you take that test and you look at these things. I don't look at these things through that kind of lens of, like, well, what if, like, if they are brave, yeah, they're reckless. Like, that makes sense when you say it, but that's not at all what I think when I'm thinking of characters and stuff. So how would you go about, let's say, like, you're starting a character right now. What's your process? How do we create a character?
Okay, well, the first thing because mainly when I'm creating characters, I'm creating, like, a book or a story or, like, a plot line of some sort. And so I usually think of the different personalities and how they would clash and create a fun dynamic for the kind of story that I'm making. So, like, if I'm making a romance, it might be fun to put, like, the commander personality type in there because, or like the architect, because they're completely clueless in romance. And so it like spices things up. So I usually try to think of the dynamic I can create with the characters' personalities, and then what both fits and contrasts that personality. And then, like, names are so fun.
Yeah.
They're, like, the funnest thing about creating a character. Because you can, like, I usually take, like, old names. Or, like, I've made some names, like, for my fantasy books. I made the name Lespira.
That is pretty cool.
Thanks.
So you've got their personality types. We got a name. Now, do you visualize these characters? Like, do you understand what they look like or how they might behave, or is that a different element altogether?
I mean, like, I feel like it's always kind of changing a little bit because, like, I made my character Nova, and then I wrote a book, and the main character's name was Nova, and she was kind of like my character, and I was like, I'm gonna change her name. So then I changed her name to Evanora, just like a little difference, and then I decided to make her a twin. And when I had originally made Evanora, she had long red hair, and so then when I made her twin, I was like, oh, wait, no, her twin should have that hair, and she should have shorter hair. And so it's like always changing based on the new aspects you create into it. But like, I don't know, I guess like I always kind of have a certain look that's like in my mind when I originally start, just because of stereotypes.
I mean, it's an easy thing to base stuff off of. It gives you a clear illustration, even though maybe in real life they're not always that accurate, but you do see them. You understand them. So I just kind of want to know, like, and you can take a minute to think on this. We can chop it up. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But what is your outlook on creativity? Because you seem very explorative with it. Maybe that's the wrong word. But you do, like, you seek new things. You get into these mediums and you train yourself to do them. So what in general, like with creation, what's your outlook on it, your philosophy? What's your belief system with creativity?
I guess, like, one thing is growing up, especially because of the media, you think that creativity is something that should just come to you and it should just be completely natural, organic 100% of the time, because that's what it makes it seem like. Like, you watch a movie and they're a band or something and they come up with their song so quick. Or, like, they have a little bit of a rough patch and then it's like, boom, like, #1 hit, you know? And in real life, it's like you can have a lot of creativity and it can be very loud, I guess. But also, it doesn't need to always be 100% organic because, especially with writing, like, if you were just to depend on your creativity and your, like, bursts, you know, then you wouldn't get very far because you have to have a persistent effort. It's also like with drawing, you know, like it's like everything's looking really rough and stiff. You just have to work through it. You can't like take a big break because it's only going to get worse.
I think that's the secret a lot of people don't want to hear, artists especially, is like, well, how do I just get better at it? It's like, you practice, dude. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, but like, I think about that a lot too, is sometimes, especially right when I'm going to sleep, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to dream up my breakthrough moment. I'm going to like perfectly plan it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to visualize it. I'm going to do it. And then like I'm dreaming and I'm constantly thinking of all these different possibilities and I'm branching off on stuff. And I'm like, man, why is this so hard? And I'm like, oh, it's because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I think the act of thinking and dreaming about it and trying to, I guess, plan your creativity, there's a strategy I think that would work for it, but a lot of times it ends up in a rabbit hole, mental burnout, like, but the act of doing it and like working through your rough drawing patches where like things just aren't working out, but you'll be better tomorrow. Like you'll kind of start to work past what's not working now. But I think that's really fascinating that you hop into these things heavy. Like when you were getting into drawing, like you were just in it, like just like marinated in the illustration world. And I find that really, really fascinating. And now with music, like you're writing stuff, you're like you're learning the medium itself of how to write the music, like everything. Like that's so cool because a lot of people are always saying, I want to, but then they don't. But you're doing these different disciplines like back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
Do you continue to do them all at the same time, or do you take little breaks to learn a new thing?
I honestly kind of do them all at the same time, I guess, because, I mean, I'm still trying to work on my books. I've taken a break from like my main book, To Save Tyrelia. I think that's what it's called, at least. I haven't decided on a name, but I'm taking a break from that because it's a fantasy book, and there's so much world building that, like, oh my god. I don't know. You probably never. Have you tried to create a fantasy story?
With Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It can get really confusing because you're trying to, like, at least for me, I'm always trying to, like, define what the, like, where the magic comes from. But, like, no one cares. No one asks about that. But, like, I want it to seem realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I get too caught up in that. And now I'm like, oh.
You're good.
And now I'm ranting. But anyway, the question was
Do you do them all at the same time, or do you take breaks?
Right. I do them all at the same time because I'm taking a break from that, but I'm still working on my, like, romance story. But then I wrote a song. Well, kind of. I still need to do the vocal tracks, and I guess I've taken quite a bit of a break from drawing, just because out of all of the things that I am creative, all the things I'm creative with, that's probably what I'm least good at.
Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah, definitely the same. I've been drawing a lot of Pokemon lately in my little, like, pocket sketchbook, and that's been, like, kind of therapeutic. I mean, since we all have a lot of free time lately.
Yeah.
But it's, like, it's something I visualize myself getting really good at because I see the end result I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I'm not too worried about it. Like, with video, I'm very focused on, like, I need to learn, I need to do it because, like, it's work, it's my job. Like,
Yeah.
I like to think that, I mean, I talk about it on the podcast, so, like, I'm an artist for a living. Yes and no, like, not to the extent I think I once thought I would be. But, like, I do make things all the time. I'm managing these, like, I'm managing marketing. I'm seeing how these people interact with things and, like, putting this work, even though it is advertising, out into the world and seeing the way it's digested and stuff has been really interesting. But, like, I do wish to capitalize on everything I make. Maybe not, I mean, obviously, like, every doodle or every terrible video isn't going to get published.
Right, yeah.
But, like, I would like to make money off of videos. I would like to make money off of drawings and digital art and design and stuff. Like, it's not only, that's not the reason I'm doing it, but, like, that is what I love to do. And that's really what I want to, that's what I want to drive my financial situation.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But with drawing, it is way less pressure because I'm just like, I'm drawing because it's more fun. That's definitely for me. Video, since I do a lot of client work, I do stuff for here, but then I'm also sometimes making my own videos. Like, it's high pressure because I'm like, people are demanding this. So, like, I need to be good at it. But sometimes, like, with even the graphic design stuff, like, I'm not worried about being good at it, but, like, when the need arises for me to be good at it, I'm like, thank God I have these skills.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to be able to solve a quick problem because, like, I know the Photoshop stuff or I know the Illustrator stuff. Like, that's really nice. Where do you hope to go with your art, with your music, with everything? Like, your creative passion, where do you hope to take it?
Like, the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. This is kind of a side thing, but it's, like, related. When we were in school, we would, like, for the senior project, I haven't had to do that, which is weird. But you have to, like, think of 5 years ahead and, like, what are you going to be doing? What do you want to be doing? You know, like, what's your goal for 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said, oh, I just want to be happy. Like, that's what I get happy from creating stuff. And so I guess in a way that means I want to be creating stuff and, like, when I die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I talk about this all the time with my mom that I don't only want to act in a movie. I want to direct the movie and do the, like, music score, and I want to do the costuming.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, like, be involved in every single aspect of what I make. Like, maybe I'll hire some other people to, like, help me with it, but, like, I get final say over everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, if I made a book and it turned into a movie, I would need to be the one that, like, cast the people for that movie.
I feel that way about my, like, clothing brand and even, like, my online persona stuff is, like, especially with the clothing stuff, like, I want to know where the shirt came from. I want to know how it's made. I want to be a part of, like, the printing process. I want to be a part of the shipping process, the advertising, the graphics themselves. And sometimes I do think that it's totally 100% doable. But other times, like, if that was your only focus, it's totally doable. It's your full-time job. Like, you're doing a single, I mean, even though it's a multi-piece thing, but you're doing a single objective.
Yeah.
But on top of, like, sometimes, especially working here, I've noticed it's just easier to have someone else make the thing.
Yeah.
And, like, so while I would love to do all the design and all the video and stuff for here, not speaking so selfishly, that sounds super controlling, but like
I know it really does.
it totally
Whenever
does.
I talk about it, I'm like, I feel very like self-centered.
Yeah, and it's not about me. It's just I can see it. I can
Yeah.
see the thing that I want to be made, whether it's like advertising or a movie or whatever. So I want to be contributing to each thing.
Yeah, because it feels like if you let someone else, this might sound rude, but it feels like if you let someone else do that, then it's not going to be exactly what you want. So it's just better for you to do it yourself anyway.
Exactly. But one thing I've definitely learned, so I mean, I'm trying to give advice like with both of us to them, but definitely
Yeah.
like me to you, like sometimes it's way easier it's hard, but to let go of it a little bit, you know, like
Yeah.
but I think it's really fun to get involved in every aspect because like I think it gives you a different respect for the whole process too. So like if you did write a book and it was going to turn into a movie, I think it would be an excellent opportunity for you to get involved in the casting and the directing and like even the camera work too, like because
that would be fun.
even if you're not like the pro, if you understand at least how the process works, it gives you a completely different mindset of like, oh, this is how it actually happens. Now I understand more.
Yeah.
And that's what's been nice about like the clothing stuff is like as I started learning more stuff about it, I was like, I don't think I want to print them. I don't think I want to do that. Like it's tedious, it's fairly boring, but like I'll just make the stuff and market it and I'll hire someone else to print it.
Yeah.
Same with like full productions of things. Like I love making the podcast. Editing it is fairly boring because it's like I already had the conversation.
Yeah. So
So,
now
like-
you have to listen through all of it again.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, when was she gonna say this? Oh, now she said that.
Yeah.
Okay, so having someone else edit it is really nice because like they see stuff that I might not have seen.
Also because they haven't seen it before. So like
Exactly.
brand new eyes.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is having. It's good to bring other people in for sure.
Yeah.
As much as we as artists might want to push everyone out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as someone who maybe at home is wondering, like, what should I make? Because a lot of times that's paralysis in itself is if there's a million options.
Me.
Yeah. If there's a million options, what do we start with? But if you could, do with total clarity, give advice to someone struggling with that, what would you say?
Of like what to make.
What to make, what to get started on, how to even go about it?
Well, I guess like for those people who don't know what exactly they are good at or like what they like yet, it would be good to just like try out everything, like try out acting and drawing and singing and writing, like just try out everything and see what you like the best, and then think of the ways that you could get creative with that and the things you're most passionate about outside of that and try to bring it in, I guess.
And what would you say if they said, but I'm not going to be good at it?
I feel like I hear that all the time. Like whenever I have a lot of friends that'll be like, "Oh, you're such a good singer," or "You're such a good actor," and then like I'll be like, "Oh, will you go over my script with me?" And they're like, "But I feel like I'm not going to be good at it." And I mean, I feel like no one's great at it when they start. So the only way you can get better is if you keep doing it. And also, this sounds really cheesy, and I really used to hate to hear this when I was like going through a lot because I'm just like, you're so annoying. But it does help to act confident. Like if you act confident in something, people won't really notice that you're not. So it makes it seem better. Like it's like those comedians that tell awful jokes, but everyone laughs because they're confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that is something, I've noticed too, is like if you doubt yourself for a second, everyone will doubt you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's the greatest idea, if it's like the most powerful thing you've ever written. If you deliver it with doubt, everyone's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're just kind of like, if you're excited and you're passionate, and even if it's embarrassing or weird or it's a bad joke, but you
Yeah.
deliver it with like you're on it, like you believe it, people will believe it. And
Yeah.
that believe it. Like Naruto has been telling us this for years. It's real. Like
Yeah.
belief is everything. And belief and confidence, I feel like, run side by side.
They do.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Where can people find what you're doing?
Okay, you can find my modeling and creativity post on Skylar_Wert on Instagram.
Well, it's been a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Cut.